Good morning. Welcome back to BT. It's 6:30, and we're looking at just traffic starting to build out on our major highways and expressways. But some good news off the top. We had problems on the southbound 400 south of King Road, and those problems are all gone now. So we're looking at a pretty okay drive on the southbound 400. We're still looking at volume for sure. So let's take a look at those cameras. And yeah, it's a little bit busy still. So just keep that in mind on the southbound 400. It's heaviest from south of Aurora Road down to this spot where it finally does clear up, and it clears up heading down towards the 401. So that is something you have to look forward to. Take a look over at the southbound 410. We're seeing typical volume from about Sandalwood down to Bavard, and we're also starting to see delays on the southbound 410 from Derry down to the eastbound 401 ramp. And the southbound 404, that's heaviest heading out of Newmarket, and that is because of some fog being reported in that area. So southbound 404 is jammed up from approaching Davis to approaching Wellington. And then what we're looking at here, we're looking at delays from Elgin Mills down to about 16th Avenue. And delays are starting to build on the southbound DVP to the top of your screen in towards downtown to about south of Lawrence. So that's a look at your drive. Now, Frankie, tell us more about this fog that we're hearing about.
Yeah, the reason for the fog this morning, we have two difference in air temperature and ground temperature and a lack of wind. So then we have some fog settling, especially north of the city this morning. So just be aware of that. The sun will burn that off, but sunrise this morning is right around 7 a.m. We got 12 degrees right now is your current condition here in the city of Toronto. As we can take a look closer in, 9 in through Oshawa this morning, 12 over through Stouffville, Aurora, 12 into Oakville this morning, 15 into Burlington. So best described as a comfortable morning, but a light sweater required through the afternoon. You can peel some of the layers off. Satellite radar, nothing to worry about. We kicked out that cloud from yesterday, some of that drizzle that pushed its way through some of the showers. Yeah, we saw a little bit more than what we originally thought. And daytime highs today, 23. Tomorrow we'll hit 22. Just a few clouds kicking around. Then we're back into sunshine on your Thursday at 23, continuing to warm through Friday and Saturday. By Saturday, a humidex of 30. That is a look at your forecast.
And our top story this morning, a man recovering in hospital after a shooting in Mississauga. 680 News reporter Carl Hansky has an update from the scene.
This is the scene here on Dunmow Crescent in Mississauga, where the shooting occurred just before 2 o'clock this morning. A man inside an older model Mercedes was shot a couple of times, I'm told, including in the stomach. There are shell casings on the street here. Then he took off, and you can see where he drove off. He went off the road. He struck this vehicle over here, causing damage to the rear end, leaving debris as he went along the lawns and the sidewalk here. Continued on over this way. You can see fluid dripping from the vehicle as the car made its way out of the neighborhood. He actually drove a few blocks west to here Ontario Street, where paramedics found him and took him to hospital. Police are here on scene. They're looking, of course, for any security cameras to get an image of the shooter who fled. In Mississauga, I'm Carl Hansky, 680 News.
Carl, thank you for that. And here in Toronto, police are investigating a homicide after a man shot in the city's north end. It happened around 6:30 last night at a plaza on Dufferin, just north of Glencairn. A man in his 70s rushed to hospital where he later died. Police say a male suspect dressed all in black, possibly wearing a mask, got out of a vehicle and started shooting. Officers won't say the victim was targeted, but have said he was the only person shot at. As always, if you have any information, you're asked to contact the Homicide Squad or Crime Stoppers. We're also following a case in Brampton where a woman fighting for her life, Peel Regional Police arresting her husband after a violent assault in their home. Officers responded to this call yesterday afternoon on Checkerberry Crescent, which is near the 410 and Sandalwood Parkway. The victim, found with blunt force trauma, rushed to hospital in life-threatening condition. Her 64-year-old husband is in custody, charged with attempted murder. Police say no one else was home at the time, and this was an isolated incident. In world news, a train has derailed in Hong Kong, injuring at least 8 people. It was carrying hundreds of passengers when it went off the track during the morning rush. The injuries are believed to be mostly neck and none of them, believed to be critical. The train was heavily damaged, with some doors falling off during the derailment. The cause still under investigation, but there is a preliminary indication of a crack in the track. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu voting today, hoping to keep his record 5th term in a do-over election. Netanyahu winning in April, but failing to form a coalition. Polls ahead of today show him and his main competitor, Benny Gantz, neck and neck. The peace process with Palestinians always a major voter issue. Just days before the election, Netanyahu making the controversial announcement that he would annex parts of the occupied West Bank if re-elected.